엄마, 정신 차려.
훨씬 맛있어. 완성도가 더 높아졌어.
그것은 다 나의 내공이 쌓인 덕분이다.
아, 파는 데보다 더 맛있는데?
그래?
응.
방송용 멘트인가요? 이거를 내가 한 6,500원에 팔아.
어떡하고 사 먹겠어.
엄청 쉬워. 설거지를 하셨네. 먹을 거 없나? 김치밖에 없네. 깍두기밖에 없네. 오랜만에.
find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life fast forward, never turning back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set the rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too.
잘 먹겠습니다. 우와, 맛있겠다. 먹어보자.
호랑이 있구나. 살이 지저분했구나.
얘는 치킨이라서 좀 와, 진짜 맛있겠다, 이것도.
됐어? 더 먹어.
됐어요.
클리어. 깜짝 놀라가지고.
이것도 맛있긴 하다.
So, no, 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 no. I don't think so. No, 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 no. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen. I don't think so. No, 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 no. Maybe